Now then, how are we doing? Morning. To that one person who watched the last video, thank you very much. Well, it's obviously a sign that I'm rubbish because my numbers are falling rapidly. Do I care? No. Is this the last one? Could well be. Could well be. We're halfway through what I said I was going to do right in that very first video. So, today, we're going to look at buildings. Not literally buildings, but how to photograph them. Quite easy. Just get a camera, shoot, and there you go. Done. No, it's not that. What we're going to look at is the types of buildings you might want to go and take a good photograph of. How are you going to do it? The equipment you could use. Yes, I know it's a camera and a lens, isn't it always? And what sort of photography it isn't. And some of the mistakes we can make. It's also very easy. But hey, that's how we learn, isn't it? I do. So I'm going to be right about this. So no matter what you think, you're wrong. Unless you agree with me, which is always the easiest way with being a Yorkshireman. Always agree with a Yorkshireman. Never argue. Doesn't make sense. Anyhow, so sort of photography I take is historic buildings photography. So that could be country houses, could be old buildings in a town, or industrial archaeology, which is, mills, places where you used to work, pumping stations, things like that. Things which are quite out of the ordinary. So they're what I take photographs of. And I am quite good at it, I have to say. But I'll post some pictures later, you can make your own minds up. So this is what I do, and this is what I specialise in. So let's have a look at what we do. What I don't do is estate agent photographs. Ugh, boring. Anyway, they're false. They're only there to sell you a house. And I don't also do architectural photographs, which what I mean by that, when I can get my words out, is photographs for architects, buildings they have just done, for instance, which are all very good, but it's a pretty niche market because you have to really sell what they're doing. It's like one step up from an estate agent's photograph. Again, I don't do that. I do take photographs of details, and I think that's very important. A detail of the building sells the detail, and it sells the building itself. So I tend to take a lot of photographs of little intimate details, which your eye probably doesn't always see. If I see one more spiral staircase with a person on it walking down in really good light, I'll scream. That's not what I do either. I don't do influencing. I don't do pictures with people in it if I can avoid it, although I do use them for external ones for scale. But it seems to me when people say architectural photographs or photographs of old buildings, that's all I see is just people flouncing around. That's equally not what I do. So, as you can see, when I take my photographs, they're for a reason. They tell a story. It may be a National Trust house, what's telling the story of its history. It may well be a derelict house that in a town centre which is pulling the town centre's character down, and I want to campaign about getting it restored. It may well be something which is going to be knocked down, so I'm recording it for a reason. That's why I do it. You may do it just as a bit of a pastime. So that's up to you. Let's have a look again at some historic buildings. In terms of equipment, well, apart from a normal camera with perhaps a lens to suit what you're taking photographs of, I'm not going to really go into this. But perhaps one of the things I do say is, if you're getting up close or you're inside a building, the faster the lens you've got, the better you will be, because obviously you can't use flash inside historic buildings if they've got paintings, because you'll have to cause some damage. And equally, if you're taking fairly close up because sight's restricted, like in a street for instance, you can get issues with the photograph you take, and I'll come on to that in a minute. So in terms of the photographs I take, I'm usually looking at a wide angle lens outside, something which will cover anything like a zoom from 24 to 50, something like that, so you can get the whole building in. Internally, I may use that same sort of camera and lens, although I may use the Ricoh 30, which is a nice little handheld camera, which I've used before, or I have been using this baby, and this is very good. It's quite cheap. It's a Viltrox, and it's a 13mm 1.4. So it's fairly fast, it's fairly wide angle. And the reason I use that is because sometimes when you get close up to a building, you get this effect where the building tends to lean away from you. And if you're close cropping, you can't fix that in an editing program. So all you've got is this building what's leaning back. Now you may think that's a good special effect, and in some cases it can be. I'm not knocking it, I'm just saying it's a problem you may encounter. But if you've got a wide angle, you often don't get that, and you don't have to do any cropping. Now if you do have to do cropping, because it's still sticking out there, think of this when you're taking the photograph. Try and keep quite a wide area around the building itself. So don't fill your lens with the building you're taking. What I would suggest is you leave some surround. So that gives you a little bit of a break when you're cropping the photograph down. So you can, on some editing software, you can actually pull the building forward, but the more you pull it forward, the less space you have, and it fills the frame. So make sure you put some space around the building if you think you're too close and you can't step back. Therefore, you're able to change the orientation, pulling it back in your photo software. Simple, but we forget. Earlier, I mentioned what sort of camera photographs I take, and I mentioned campaigning, and I also mentioned earlier details. Now, when I say details, I like to get up close to architectural details, such as scrolling or the tops of capitals and things like that. Or maybe if I'm in a country house, you get the feeling that there's a room with some sort of ambience to it, and there's things laid out, and you may then think, oh, that's a nice detail to take. And generally speaking, my detail photographs are in black and white, because it tends to bring out some grain to the photograph, and it also gives you that atmosphere as well. I also mentioned derelict buildings, ones I want to campaign about. I'm very arty in that respect, because I feel you're creating an image in black and white. So again, black and white photograph gives that appearance of doom and gloom. I know, it's a bit sad for a Yorkshireman to be saying that he's bothered about such things, but I've got to do something. So don't be afraid of using black and white. I know people say, oh, well, if it's taking things a recording, it should be colour, then you get the understanding. No. You actually read books about archaeological photography, they will tell you to use it in black and white, because the fading doesn't happen. Colours fade no matter what you do, unless you're a very good archivist, and then, yeah, you know what to do. But generally speaking, if I'm recording something, it's in black and white. Up to you. I don't care. I'm not bothered. That one person who watched me last week, then you probably do what you want to do anyway. You just tripped up upon me when you were eating your tea or something with crap on telly. I don't know. But hey, thanks though. It's much appreciated. Although you didn't press that subscribe button. I'm beginning to think there's something wrong with that subscribe button. Anyway, there you go. I've had enough now. I think you have. Try and keep it short. Here's some more photographs if I've got any of details what I've taken. And make your own mind up. Do what you want. I don't care. Anyway, we'll be back next week with something probably more thrilling. Probably not. We'll have to wait and see. Hey, there you go. There's a teaser for you. Let's just see how boring I can be next week. And in the words of Fred Truman, I'll see thee.